a picture of me, and I got paid $600 for 2 hours of work to just stand there in the like hot sun for them to take a picture of like my shoulder with a flower on it.
Yeah.
It's like, this is insane.
That is awesome.
And then eventually I got the opportunity to be a private chef.
Yeah, I'd like to get into modeling a little bit. I feel like there's good money there for no work.
It's the one and only time I ever did it, but it's like, this is the best job of my life. But then I got an opportunity to move to the Hamptons and be a private chef.
Yeah.
So I did that for like 3 years in many different ways, and I worked for this one family, and that was really amazing, and really kind of eye-opening. And I can't really talk about it, but it was the first time in my life I got to focus on everything besides being a chef.
Heard.
Like, I had a little bit more money, so I like learned how to exercise and learned how to eat well and learned how to like what to do with my free time, and really invest in myself mentally. Yeah. Because I was having some hard times mentally of like, kitchens are tough.
Yeah, they are.
And they really beat the shit out of me in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. So I needed to, I went to therapy and I did like all this mental health stuff to take care of myself. And that really began being a private chef.
Heard. How long were you a private chef?
From 2018 till March 2020. Okay. And that's when I stopped being a private chef.
Heard. And what situation was it? Family?
Yeah, it was a family.
Yeah.
And in New York City.
5 days a week? 6 days a week?
Yeah, it was 5 days a week. Yeah. It was a pretty sweet gig. I can't really talk much about it.
No worries.
But yeah, it was a sweet gig.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And then COVID comes and they're like, I'm sorry, but unfortunately...
Well, they left. They left New York.
Okay, of course. I bet you wish you could do the same.
Like, we're getting out of here.
Take me with you.
Totally, I understand. Yeah. Well, actually, they went away on vacation. And they're like, we'll see you in 2 weeks. And they just never came back.
Yeah, that happened to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Kevin Finch didn't even put on a shirt.
So, I'm stuck in my house. And I'm like, I can't see anybody. I'm like... Going out to the grocery store is kind of crazy because, like, New York at that time was like the epicenter of the world for COVID.
Yeah,
like I got some PTSD hearing that amount of ambulances. It's changed a lot. I mean, New York is doing amazing now. But in 2020 March, it was no joke. Yeah, it was serious, and we didn't know what the hell was going on.
Yeah. We still don't know what the fuck's going on.
Not like
yeah,
March.
Not like in March. 20.
That was like tough. I lost some family to COVID, and it was hard. But anyways, so I do what any cook does, just like, or we all were doing, just like cooking at home. Yeah. And I just wanted to make people feel good and like do something nice to my neighbors. Yeah. And so I started baking chocolate chip cookies. Uh-huh. And I baked like one recipe and another recipe, and after like the 12th time baking chocolate chip cookies, I was like, I had made something that I thought was like, oh, this is pretty good.
Like, damn good.
This is good. And I also realized, like, I can't keep giving it out to my neighbors. I don't have a job anymore. I'm going to go broke.
Yeah, you got to sell the shit.
So I made an Instagram post. Does anybody want any cookies? And I thought I'd make like a dozen. And I made a lot more than a dozen. I made like, I don't know, it was like 100 cookies. Yeah. And I was like, wow, that is crazy. A lot of work. So I started on my bicycle, biking all throughout. We're talking like 20, 30 miles a day. Selling cookies on my bike. At a certain point, my friend Mo hits me up, and he's like, "Can I have a dozen cookies?" And I was like, "Wow, that's a lot of cookies." Okay, sure.
How did you originally meet Mo?
It was on a rafting trip with my friend Emily, and everybody on the rafting trip. I'm sorry, like a tubing trip. We were lazy going down like the Delaware River. Yeah. And everybody on that trip hated tubing. And Mo and I were like, this is pretty nice. And so we hung out and just like became friends.
Gotcha.
And Mo would always ask me to like go to his house. He would throw parties, and like I'm kind of a shy dude, so I would like go for like an hour and be like, I'm nervous, and then I go home. Yeah. And then but he bought some cookies, and he bought a dozen. He ate like 11 of them for lunch. And then he gave one to his neighbor.
Sound like your boy Dave.
Yeah, right. And then he gave one to his neighbor, and his neighbor ate it, and it was like, damn. And he's like, that's it. And then he's like, we gotta make something out of this. These are fucking
because he's at this point, and I'll get into his story when I interview him, but sure. He's almost like left a career behind to like be a businessman at that point.
It was like he had left a career behind. he started a business, didn't go exactly how he wanted, went to go back to the business world, and then he's like, fuck this. And he left like a week, and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And that's where so he's like kind of confused, like, what the hell am I going to do
Yeah,
now?
exactly.
So
everything is lines.
So exactly right. So he starts he makes this like Google Doc for me, and I start selling cookies. And we're selling cookies. At one point during the summer, I got this opportunity to be a private chef.
Yeah.
It was a lot of money, and I was like, I didn't know what was going on in the world. And I told Mo, I was like, I got to do this. This is too much money. I'm concerned that, about what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
So I took that job, and so we put Best Damn Cookies. Well, I put my involvement
on hold.
And he and my other friend kind of did it for the summer for 2 months, at which, I mean, Mo had no idea what he was doing. He was like just going to people being like, do you like cookies?
Yeah.
Like that's not how you progress a company. Yeah. And he didn't want to bother me, so we weren't talking about it. But I came back in September, and I moved to this apartment in Brooklyn, and then we started to take it seriously. I started to take it seriously. Mo had been taking it seriously.
This is where you guys take all the pictures, no?
This was a point, yeah.
Gotcha.
So we moved. So I found, and that's when I needed a place to start baking, because I was baking in my house.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this can't go on that much longer.
And then your roommate's like, bro, everything's dirty. All the dirty dish. I can't.
It's more like, why are you making so many cookies?
Yeah, exactly.
Hundreds of cookies.
Yeah.
And we would just sell out and sell out and sell out.
Probably smell like a Dunkin' Donuts in here after a while.
I mean, it smelled pretty good. But, it was like, we gotta do something else.
Yeah.
So I hit up a friend of mine who worked. I didn't even mention that. This guy I worked out with, Francisco Magoya.
Uh-huh.
His name is Zach Wangerman, who worked at the restaurant in Meadowood. Mm-hmm. And he was going to open up this restaurant called Sobremasa.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, hey, on your free time or like on our slow days, come in and bake some cookies. So I moved the operation. That was our first time we were in like a restaurant.
Yeah.
And then I could really start
ramping up.
Yeah, baking.
It's like, oh, you have full sheet trays here.
Exactly, yeah. Right? I went from baking 6 or 8 cookies at a time to like
24.
No. We were talking like hundreds of cookies.
Okay, gotcha.
And I could
at a time, was it got a rolling rack oven?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
I mean, he's a baker, so like.
Yeah, it's true.
I
guess ovens are important.
So I could bake like hundreds of cookies at a time, and it was like not a very efficient model because it's a kitchen. It's a restaurant kitchen. It's not meant to be a bakery.
No.
But it was way better than my house. And then I started making new flavors and getting inspired by different ideas and different people.
Yeah.
And one of them was with Zach. We made this piñole cookie, which is we take this corn called cacahuacintle, roast it, make it into a flour called piñole. And I added a little bit of mango and chile de arbol and canela, all these beautiful flavors that were in his kitchen at the time. And I made a cookie out of it. And it's like, the beauty of cookies, I get asked this a lot, like, why am I running a cookie company?
Yeah.
Like, you did all this shit, and you're just going to bake cookies? And it's like...
Fuck those people.
Well, yeah, but it makes sense. But the real reason is, like, most humans have an experience or a memory of eating a cookie.
100%.
And, like, I loved my time at all these fine dining restaurants, but most of the people you met... Even like the person you saw the most, a guest that you saw the most, was like once a month. I mean, the Charter Oak you probably saw much more often.
Yeah.
But at the restaurant, what's like the most frequent guest you saw?
Josh Freed. I don't know if you ever
got
to know him. That motherfucker came in on a weekly basis.
Exactly.
But other than that, I get what you're saying.
But in general,
and once a month.
Yeah, once a month, right? Versus like I want to have someone like every day.
Yeah.
I want to really have a connection and really. Those daily connections. I don't want it to be this special occasion. I want it to be part of their life. I want to have a deep connection with my guests.
Yeah.
That like, that's like sustenance in a way. And that's like, cookies are an easy way in to do that.
Yeah.
And no 3-year-old is coming to single thread. You're limited. It's expensive to go there because you're using the fine. A Ferrari is expensive because it's a Ferrari.
Yeah.
But a cookie most people can afford, and so I could talk to people, and I could talk to all kinds of people who of all economic backgrounds. Even though my product is expensive for what it is, people have $4 to try something that I think is really high quality.
Yeah.
And so being able to make these connections of like seeing my little nieces and nephews, or my baby cousins rather, and seeing like older people who don't necessarily want to sit for a long meal, having those connections and being like, hey, this is something that I made, and they could see it and visit and afford it, just was like, it felt so good. And then you start getting all these amazing connections of people that you're meeting. You're meeting the owners of Amsam and Mala Project and all these awesome places, and building connections and trying to figure out how to support one another with all these young businesses. And
during that time, it seemed like young businesses thrived. You know what I mean? They're just like...
It was an incubator.
Yeah, exactly.
You ever watch Dragon Ball Z?
No,
not really. Anyways, there was like a moment where everybody goes into this room and like time stops and like everybody like grows like 100 years in like the course of 1 minute. And that's what it's like. It's like that was what COVID felt like in a lot of ways. Like this incubator, this like pressure of like getting rid of as much bullshit in like some weird way.
Yeah.
There's even more bullshit too, but in some ways there's even less bullshit, and like just give me the good stuff. Give me like what are like real, useful, powerful ideas. And there's so many amazing people doing so many incredible things.
Yeah.
And opening Best Damn Cookies really showed me that. And so it's just grown and grown and grown, working on new concepts and new ideas and new collaborations and new people. And we just this summer opened up a store in Essex Market, in the Market line in Essex Market on the bottom floor. And it's been unbelievable and amazing there. And now we get to show even more people and be in a beautiful community with all these incredible restaurants and stalls and things like that.
Are you taking it sort of day by day, or do you know what the end goal for Best Damn Cookies is?
It depends upon who you ask. If you ask me, I have a different opinion than Mo, which is good. I'm a bit more day-to-day, like focused on the now.
Yeah.
But I want to really expand the wholesale model. I want to have a couple of more spots. And I really want this to be a starting point of my career. My ultimate goal is I'm an Eastern European Jew, and Central, like German and Hungarian and Russian. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to really showcase that cuisine a little bit more. And I think Best Damn Cookies is a really great starting point of like introducing myself and explaining my aesthetic and ideas and concepts.
Do you think that you will have your own restaurant someday? Like food?
I want to open up a deli.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm going to name it after my grandparents.
Fuck yeah, man.
And I wanted to like... You know, it's funny, like, when was the last time you had Eastern European food?
Long time.
A long time, right? Like, but how often do you eat, like, Italian food, Chinese food, Japanese food?
Prominent.
Which are all unbelievable and amazing. But I want to showcase my food and my culture. And I don't even know that much about it if I'm really transparent and honest about it. I want to learn about the history of my people. Like, my family lived in Germany for 900 years. And I don't know that much about it. Like, that's a travesty.
Yeah.
I want to feel proud of that and showcase that and make it exciting and sexy and cool to say, like, oh, we're getting German food.
Yeah.
And that's a major goal of mine. Yeah. And making it accessible at the same time.
Because German restaurants are usually accessible in Texas.
Yeah.
And then, like, in some weird small towns where they're like, oh, yeah, the German restaurant's pretty good. But that's the only ever time you hear about German restaurants.
Because we kind of, like, assimilated into society.
Yeah.
So, like, but, like, when you think of, like, quote-unquote American food, hamburgers, hot dogs.
Yeah.
That all comes Frankfurter.
Yeah.
Frankfurt. Hamburger.
Yeah.
Like, that's German food.
At the end of the day, I think when you say American cuisine now, it doesn't mean what it meant 10 years ago.
Absolutely.
It's literally everyone.
But I would say most people would say hamburger is American.
Yeah.
And that's German. But absolutely. American food is like this beautiful melting pot of many things. But I'm just talking about my food culture. And, like, I think it's worthy of noting, like, also saying, like, hey, this thing that everybody is saying, that comes from a place and actually has a really long and beautiful story. And it's evolved and changed, and that's amazing too. But, like, hey, let's look at what it was and what it is, and, like, how can we maybe have a different lens on it.
Yeah. Well, it seems like what happens is